Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the launch of two of the most anticipated motorcycles in the country, the KTM RC390 and the RC200. We have with us here Mr. Stephen Pierer, CEO and Chairman of the Executive Board of KTM AG, Mr. Harold Packinger, COO and member of the Executive Board KTM AG, Mr. Victor Siegel, CFO and member of the Executive Board of KTM AG. And on behalf of Bajaj Auto Limited, we have with us Mr. Rajiv Bajaj, Managing Director, Bajaj Auto Limited, and member, Supervisory Board, KTM AG. Mr. S. Ravi Kumar, President, Business Development and Assurance, Bajaj Auto Limited, and member, Supervisory Board, KTM AG. And Mr. Amit Nandi, Senior Vice President, Pro Biking, Bajaj Auto Limited. To kick off the conference, may we please have the KTM racing video?
Racing, a competition of speed, set against an objective criterion, usually a clock. It is where the fastest wins, where the stopwatch doesn't lie, and success or failure is measured at the checkered flag. But for those who live racing, it really is more than just a race against the clock. The tension, the drama, and the unpredictability of the race. All of this adds to what racing really is. In racing, respect is earned the old-fashioned way. And greatness is built one victory at a time. Out there you are alone, with nowhere to hide. Any sign of weakness and you will be exposed.
And then they're coming into the corner. He's down!
Lose focus for a single moment, and you will face the full wrath of the laws of physics. When the weight of the world comes crashing down on you, will you quit? Or will you dust yourself off and keep on fighting? Racing is where history is made, and where champions rise from the crowd, accepting all challenges fearlessly. Champions aren't only measured by what they have won, but by what they have overcome on their road to glory. Without obstacles, tough battles, and pain, victory is empty. So what is racing then? Racing is 100% commitment to everything you do. At KTM, racing drives us and makes our world turn. This is the world that awaits you. KTM, ready to race.
And without further ado, may I please request Mr. Stephen Pierer to come on stage, please.
Good morning to everybody. It's a great honor for me to make the RC presentation personally. So what you have seen, that's KTM. That's what we are standing for. It's racing. It's a spirit. It's a mentality how to run a company. So we are brave. We are ready to compete to everybody. Let's start on the first. It's not just jumping high. KTM is also doing throughout the last 4 years outstanding, impressive. Who's doing the operation? Myself? Perfect. So all-time high. Last year we had the best year ever, but it's history. This year, we will do the next record. We are doing 140,000 units compared to last year's 120,000, excluding your figures in India. If we add on another 15, 16, 17, I don't know what's coming by the end, then we have almost 160,000 units. So unit-wise, we are #1 in Europe. We are proud of that. And it's not just units, it's also sales and results. So this year we will touch an EBIT margin of 9% and 850 million euro, which is, depending on the exchange rate, around a billion dollars. So what are the success behind that? It's quite simple. It's not just racing. It's, in my opinion, 3 elements what are driving us and bringing the success. It's a strong brand. I think the introduction video have given you an impression what the brand stands for. It's globalization, and I think that example what we did together with Bajaj, it's one of the benchmarks for the whole industry in the world. And innovation, that means product development. The innovation rate is one of our key drivers to the success. And globalization. I think right now we have more than 30 own subsidiaries around the globe. Europe, it's clear, in every country. US, Canada, Mexico, South Africa, everywhere we are so-called developed markets, and in all the emerging markets we are working together with importers. Meanwhile, we have 80 importers, and together with this structure, we are serving more than 2,000 KTM dealers worldwide. And I think one of the biggest success in KTM is a clear shareholder structure with a strong, clear industrial commitment. There is the strategic alliance with Bajaj with 48%, 51% is owned by myself. And this clear vision for a long-term development is, I think, the backbone of our success. And if I look back when we started in 07 or 08, the first joint developments starting with the 200 Duke, then later on the 390, and today I think we are the most prestigious and I think the most exciting product, the RC, you will see today. I think that joint development and that strategic alliance between KTM and Bajaj has given us the possibility to enter all the emerging markets and to compete head-to-head with our Japanese competitors, because that's are the only competitors for us, because everybody else is a niche player. And together with Bajaj, we are able to run that success on a global base. So I would say, and use this opportunity to say thank you to Rajiv. And there's much more to do in the future, because I got your message 2 years ago. Try to become the biggest sport motorcycle producer in the world. So that means we are already working on our midterm plan 2020. That means 250,000 sport motorcycles. Simple as that. So enjoy the day, the presentation. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everybody. Mr. Pierer shared with you really a global perspective and a strategic perspective. Before, from where he left off, before we get on to the RC product, a brief overview of what are the different facets of the KTM brand, particularly for those of you here who are not from the auto sector. It would be a short refresher, and then we get into the RC product. So the first aspect of KTM is, it was founded in 1953, that's 60 years back, and with the purpose of building race-winning motorcycles. Today, it's a racing powerhouse with 250 world championship titles and counting. Every week the number gets updated, and actually this number is 3 days old, and in the last 3 days also it's changed. "13 consecutive Dakar Rally wins for KTM, which is considered to be the toughest race in the world. In this year, 5 out of top 10 were KTMs. And if you really look at the history of Dakar, every year, sometimes it's 10 out of the top 20, sometimes it's 15 out of the top 20, 7 out of the top 10. It's practically a dominance of KTM. Motocross, again, similar dominance. It's a world leader. KTM dominates all 3 classes, MX1, MX2, MX3. Last year, winner in MX1, MX2, MX3. And as of 2 days back, the MotoGP, the MX MotoGP is also KTM's. In Enduro, again dominates all 3 classes, E1, E2 and E3. 2013, winner, E1, E2, E3. Track racing, which is a relatively new entry ever since 2012 when the Moto3 championship got created. So KTM's been a winner in 2012 and 2013 and leading in 2014. In 2012, 3 out of the top 5 were KTM, including the winner. In 2013, all the top 5 were KTM, and this year, 5 out of 8 teams are on KTM. All this experience in racing is what gets directly fed into the production version of the equivalent model. So every KTM is dictated by the race experience of the previous year. Every bike usually has the highest power to weight ratio in its class. So every KTM is truly 100% ready to race. It's not a marketing slogan. Each bike is a racing bike, which means you can pick a bike from the showroom, head to the racetrack, and you can win. There is a lifestyle element, which is more about customization and personalization, which you can do to a KTM bike to enhance it both functionally as well as aesthetically. So there are KTM power parts, and then there are KTM powerwear. As Mr. Pierer mentioned, KTM is the largest European motorcycle brand in the world. In India, we launched KTM in January 2012 in Delhi. Ever since, volumes have grown from strength to strength. As of this quarter, we would be selling almost 1,700 bikes every month. In the last financial year, the growth was 46%. In this financial year, till August, which is April to August, KTM's growth is 120% in India, in contrast with the motorcycle industry growth of 10%, making KTM, if not the fastest, surely one of the fastest growing brands in India. This is how market share has moved from an initial market share of 16% to a lowest of 11%. We are today at 28%, which is decidedly number 2 in the relevant segment, which comprises of a product from Yamaha and a product from Honda. In 26 cities, KTM is already number 1 in its segment. In another 69, it's number 2, which means in 92% of cities in India where KTM is present, it's either number 1 or number 2. If one were to compare KTM's market share against all premium big bike brands, KTM has a market share of 75% in India. This is how the network of KTM has grown, which has been one of the triggers for getting KTM wherever it is today. By the end of this month, we would be at 150 dealerships across the country, spreading the length and breadth from the deserts of Rajasthan to the hills of Manipur and Mizoram, and from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. For KTM in India, we've had a unique marketing program where we've not gone to people, we have not gone around convincing people to buy a KTM. Instead, we've concentrated on people who've already bought a KTM, and we've relied on them to spread the word of mouth and get us our next set of customers. So in everything that we've done in marketing in KTM, it's the existing customer who's at the center of the action. So we've done track days, which gives an owner an experience of the racetrack so that he's just not bought a product, but he's able to live the KTM experience. At a much larger scale, because there aren't very many racetracks in the country, we've organized motorsports events for amateurs, which we call as the KTM Orange Day, and there have been a multitude of them. For those who are not inclined towards racing, we've given them a touring experience where they can go in a group organized by us, camp for the night, and experience the bonhomie and the community of KTM users. For those who don't have the time to go for an overnight tour, there are day trips, which we call as orange rides. And for those who've still not had the time to go to the showroom, we've organized stunt shows where they can come, watch, and vicariously experience what KTM is all about. On the racing front, though we've not, as a company, officially entered into racing, we've been supporting those who've used KTM bikes to participate in races. So Reddy Himalaya, which is the most prominent rally in India, in 2012, all the top 3 in its category is the winners were KTMs. In 2013, 4 out of the top 5. The other rally, the second of the 3 rallies prevalent in India, in the Desert Storm, again in 2014 it's a clean sweep. In last year, 2013, KTM was the winner. Dakshin Dare, again KTM is the winner. All of this has obviously happened on the back of 2 winning products till now. The KTM 390 Duke swept every automobile award that was there for two-wheelers offered by various media companies or media houses, and similarly in 2012 it was a clean sweep by the KTM 200 Duke. Today is the turn for the next new couple of products from KTM, and which Mr. Pierer gave an introduction of. It is the KTM RCs. The DNA of an RC product has its source in 2 points. One is the superbike form, which is embodied by the RC8, and from the Moto3 experience, which I spoke about a little earlier. Before I get into further details of KTM RC, it's important to share what is Moto3 and what has been KTM's performance in Moto3, because it's the Moto3 experience which has really dictated the shape and form of the RCs. So Moto3 is the 250cc class of track racing. It is the stepping stone to MotoGP, in which KTM has been a winner in 2012 and 2013. And it's not just been a winner. In 2012, 3 out of the top 5 were KTMs. In 2013, all the top 5 were KTMs. And even if you look at the constructor titles between KTM and its satellite team, it's an overwhelming dominance. This year, as of now, mid-season, KTM holds the top position, and the 5 out of 8 teams in Moto3 are on KTMs. A short look at what Moto3 is all about. Can we have a look at the video? Moving on to the RC, which is derived from the Moto3 experience. First, the RC390, a 373cc engine, single cylinder, 4-stroke, 35 Newton meters, 44 PS, and an astounding weight of 166 kg, giving a power-to-weight ratio of 262 PS per ton, which we will see later how it compares with the rest of the field. A super light engine, Nikasil coated cylinders, which give it friction and life, low friction and life. A forged single piece crankshaft, liquid cooling, fuel injection by Bosch. An all new trellis frame, where the engine is a stress member. And the chassis is geared for racing with a reduced rake angle, which is in comparison to the Duke, which results in a slightly shorter wheelbase and makes the bike extremely flickable. Twin projector headlamps, which is a first in its segment. Unique LED pilot lamps, which is also a first in its segment. And there is an option of daytime running light for the India version, which can be used by the rider at his discretion. The headlight is a very distinctive feature of the look of the KTM RC. A very sporty rear end is again a very trademark and a very differentiated pillion seat, which makes the bike look like a single seater, which a racer would like, but actually the rear end can be used as a pillion seat as well. So it's an integrated pillion seat with a very beautiful LED tail lamp. Rear view mounted blinkers. An aerodynamic windshield. And the tank and the side panels immediately next to the tank are in matte finish, making the bike look and feel very premium. clip-on handlebars, which not only add to the style and the look, but also aids in nimble and sporty handling. An underbelly exhaust, which gives lower center of gravity, and it also offers protection to the riders and the passenger's leg from being scalded by mistake. Upside down forks, 43 mm diameter. These are thick, strong forks. A monoshock rear suspension. Aluminium die-cast swing arm for extreme stiffness, lightweight, and your great stability and handling. Brakes are from Bosch. They are standard. They are not an option. Dual disc brakes, large ones. And again, something which our customers have often been giving us feedback on, the brake and the gear pedal are forged. They are not cast anymore, like in the Dukes. Tires are Metzeler, which we've already seen on the Duke 390, and everybody's been very, very happy with the performance of the tires. Wide tires with good cornering ability. And a multifunction cockpit, which is, in terms of what it offers, is goes one step further than many premium sporty cars. There are some 37 different kinds of information available from the digital cockpit. All in all, the KTM RC390 is really the superbike for India. There are a whole lot of other superbikes, but for our road conditions, they are overpowered and thus underutilized. The RC390 is really all the superbike that you need in India. Coming to the RC200, which is the younger sibling of the RC390, it's practically identical except for the engine performance and capacity. So it's 200 cc, 19.2 Newton meters, 25 PS, 154 kilos, and a power to weight ratio of 162 PS per ton. In India, it is without the ABS, because for the use that it is put to, an ABS is not really delivering as much as the cost increase that will happen and take the 200 Duke out of reach of many of the KTM fans. And it has MRF tires. As far as competition is concerned, the closest competition is the CBR 250, and it leaves the others, which is from the Yamaha R15 to the Hero Charisma to the Yamaha FZ, far behind in terms of performance or really in any other way. Here is a comparison for the 390. For the lack of any other option, we've compared it with the Kawasaki Ninja 300 and the RC200, like I mentioned, with the CBR 250R, and we also have the Yamaha R15 and the CBR 150 just as a reference point. So the RC390, in terms of power to weight ratio, is 10%, a little more than 10% higher than that of the Ninja 300, 43.5 PS as opposed to 39 PS. And on the 200, in terms of power to weight ratio, it's similar to the CBR 250, marginally ahead. But in terms of power, it is almost similar, but in terms of weight, it is far lesser. And if you really compare these figures with the Yamaha R15 and the CBR 150, it's really a no contest. In terms of features, here are some of the features which are found only on the KTM RC390 and 200 and on no other bike. So whether it's a trellis frame, whether it is ABS, it's available as an option only in one of the products on this sheet. USD forks, underbelly exhaust, projector headlamp, rear view mounted blinkers, a body integrated pillion seat, LED pilot lamp, a digital cockpit. The whole package makes the KTM RCs complete racing bikes. The 390 RC is really focused for the track. Of course, it can be used on city roads. And the 200 Duke is more for regular use, but it can also be used on the track. Before we go further, let's have a look at a short video of these products. I would now request Mr. Stefan Pierer and Mr. Bajaj to come on stage and present these products to you. Yeah, the products. We'll soon start with the Q&A session, and there'll be opportunity to take your photos further going forward as well.
Everything is from Chakan. Every detail, every part. So it's jointly developed, designed, and I think it's a new benchmark for that kind of motorcycles. And I'm really proud, and I think also Bajaj can be proud to produce such a quality level. It's a benchmark for the Japanese.
What percentage is exported?
Amit will tell you exactly.
Broadly, it's about maybe a third, give or take 5% is in India, and 2/3, give or take of 5-10% is sold in the markets across the world, from US to Europe to Japan to Latin America to Africa, everywhere else. Locally, sorry, it's 95 to 98% locally sourced.
Maybe in addition to that, just to give you the joint product line, the KTM, for this year in total, we will produce around 65,000 in Chakan. 15, 16, 70,000, depending on the market, heading towards India. And the rest, 40,000, gets distributed by KTM in the whole world. Europe, Asian markets, Latin America. And the 390, it's the first bike, it's also going to the US market. And next year, we want to reach 75, 80,000, and the 100,000 are already in a short period.
So just wanted to get a sense, what is the pricing for both these vehicles?
Can we have the slide over there?
Is it a good price? I don't know. Yeah.
They are speechless from the price. Nothing more to say.
Rajesh sir, Utkarsh this side from ET now. Also want to get a sense. In your presentation only, you have compared the RC390 to the Kawasaki. What kind of cannibalization amongst both of these vehicles are you expecting?
Since Amit made that comparison, it is better he should clarify it.
See, I think customers today understand, what KTM offers and what a Kawasaki offers. A KTM offers, a hooligan-like performance, and it's very different from what the Kawasaki has to offer. There is a market for both, and but what we've been seeing in India, customers seem to be having a preference for the KTM over the Kawasaki. So as far as we don't see a cannibalization happening, but it is a safe enough assumption to make that the KTM RC is going to really outsell the Kawasaki.
This year we are reaching 140,000. 40,000 are coming from Chakan and 100,000 from Mattighofen, Austria.
Go on.
The answer is yes, they are introductory prices, but that does not mean that we'll increase the prices next week. Our endeavor is to make KTM a really accessible luxury brand, and that is the philosophy behind the pricing. And we want to see more and more KTMs on the road, and we want to, give flight to the dreams of many, many latent bikers in the country.
Sorry, noise is very, very bad. I couldn't understand. As I mentioned already in my introduction and presentation, Bajaj was for us the key to become a real global company to enter emerging markets. If you would like to enter emerging markets, you have to have small displacement bikes, and you have to have also a competitive price level. That means you have to have a partner like Bajaj. Simple as that. That was for us the key for the global expansion, which just started and has a long vision.
How do you see this partnership going ahead? What do you expect from this? What targets are you all setting going ahead?
I'm repeating that. 2020, we want to achieve 250,000 sport motorcycles. This year, we will reach 140,000 without India. So that's basically the plan for 2020. As Rajiv mentioned, to become the biggest sport motorcycle producer.
Sir, given your expertise on off-road machines and off-road dominance in the world, how come you all haven't considered bringing an adventure bike or an off-road motorcycle to India?
As you know or aware, we have the situation that we have a higher tax rate for importing big bikes which are not assembled or produced in India. But meanwhile, we have reached a level where we are working to present the adventure bike also in India based on a CKD system. So that will come. It's clear, and as you already mentioned, we are the world market leader in off-road. We are the world market leader in motocross, enduro, and all these kind of dirt bike activities. We also will enter motocross, so that a part of that very successful joint products, you will get also specific KTM bikes coming partly or CKD based from Austria.
Mr. Pierer, you just spoke that your target is 250,000 by 2020. How many of these will come from India? Mr. Bajaj, will it also entail extra investment to raise your capacities?
So for me, it's quite simple, the answer. 100,000 are coming from Jharkhand.
No, we don't need any significant additional investments because, see, the basis of the relationship between Bajaj and KTM is something very unique. Bajaj has not just gone and invested in KTM like a financial partner. That kind of a relationship, in my view, doesn't sustain into the future. So our partnership is not so much based on the front end or on financial considerations. It is more based on the back end. If I may say so, it is based on the integration of the two kitchens of the two organizations. You know, we are cooking together. When we develop these products, when we source parts, when we make them, that's the real motorcycle. And this is only possible because, on the one hand, KTM is the racing champion of the world. And because Bajaj is fortunate to have a brand like Pulsar, which strives to be in a similar space. And it is the Pulsar that gives us the opportunity to hook up with KTM. The benefit to us is, of course, quite simple. On our own, it would have been impossible to participate in the kind of markets that KTM participates in, and with that kind of success. It would never have happened. You have to just reflect on the car industry, for example. The best known example is Toyota's endeavor with the Lexus. Did it really go anywhere in the end? No. People still buy a Porsche, a Mercedes, a BMW, an Audi. So it would have been very difficult for Bajaj to make this happen on its own. What's the benefit of KTM? Very obvious. When KTM motorcycles become part of the same kitchen that puts out 1 million Pulsars every year, the benefits are obvious, and that is why, as Stefan says, Bajaj is KTM's vehicle to take KTM to emerging markets. And therefore, that's the long answer to your question, but therefore we don't need additional investments because KTMs are produced out of the same facility that makes all the Pulsars. So the investments are already there. One by one, the products are coming in, and now it's just a matter of ramping up and increasing production to meet demand.
Mr. Bajaj, Alex from Cogensis. Slight extension to what you already said. Your partnership with another motorcycle manufacturer has helped you in certain Southeast Asian markets. Going forward, I'm not talking about just now or maybe in the next year, I'm talking about going forward. Will you leverage your partnership with KTM to take Bajaj bikes to more advanced markets, and how is that going to work?
It is not something, well, if you're talking about the more developed markets, such as the markets that Stefan pointed out in his presentation, he talked about US, Canada, and of course all over Europe, Japan, etc. Then that is not something that is on our mind, because I think every brand has its place, and managements go awfully wrong when they try to impose their will on the market. From my point of view, Bajaj is already in the US, Bajaj is already in Canada, Bajaj is already in Japan through KTM. As much as KTM is now coming to Asia or going into some of the markets of LATAM via Bajaj. So there is no need to ship out Pulsars and Discovers to those markets when we can do this. Because as you can imagine, when we do it on the back of a KTM, the position we get, the pride we get, and the profit we make is very delightful. So every time Stefan ups the ante from 50,000 to 60,000 to 100,000, what's good for KTM is good for Bajaj.
Rajesh sir, hello. I just wanted to get a sense, as you said that Bajaj will act as a tool for KTM in the emerging markets. What is the plan like? Which are the new markets which you have earmarked for yourself where KTM will be entering through Bajaj?
It will be interesting for you to know that one of the markets KTM has recently entered is China. They are looking at other markets in Asia and some in LATAM. But since Stefan is here, it is best he would elaborate on that.
Asian markets, currently we have CKD operations, small ones in Malaysia. We are working on the Philippines, so Indonesia maybe in a short period. So it's requested or required to set up local CKD operations to become or to get big quantities, that's clear. Latin America, we have a joint importer, a very successful one in Colombia. So it's the most successful country in Latin America. Brazil, we are currently analyzing, studying what we can do. So that's maybe the sense or how we are working together. We are analyzing together, we are talking and deciding, and maybe sometimes we are proceeding separately, but always thinking jointly.
Mr. Pierer, Mr. Bajaj, this is Karthik here. Just wanted to ask you regarding what more can we expect from the current platform that you have. There was talk of doing an adventure earlier on this platform. What about that?
Now we have reached, I would say, a model mix which is the base or the backbone for a profitable dealership in India as well, not just around the globe. For sure, we are working on additional models, so-called the dual-purpose model, where KTM is basically in off-road or enduro famous for. We are also, I would say, in the pre-development for mid-class family. That's, I would say, the next 4 or 5 years. But you can expect, for sure, more models out of this joint venture.
If I may just extend that a bit, is there any timeline that you have in terms of models for launches in India as well?
Specific KTM models, you mean?
Yes.
Yes, I mentioned what we have in preparation or in the planning. It's the new Adventure 1050, which gets released or launched in 2 months' time at the Milano Motorcycle Show. It's becoming our global adventure type motorcycle. That model, it's very realistic that will come to India. And as I mentioned, motocross and off-road activities, so a motocross bike from KTM is needed in India as well.
Thank you. Glad to hear that.
Sir, Shantanu from cars99.com. My question is regarding the Duke 125. Is there a perceived demand for a performance bike in that level in India, or is there any clause that prohibits you from introducing it in direct competition to Bajaj commuter bikes in the 125cc segment or around?
Your question is, can we introduce the 125cc Duke?
The company has not introduced the Duke 125. So what is the reason?
As soon as you find me the first customer, I will introduce it.
Hello, Suraj from Indian Cars Bikes. I just have one technical query that some of the Duke owners have been raising a concern about engines getting heated up on, specifically on Duke 390. So these bikes being full-faired versions, how that is addressed?
Amit will elaborate.
To start with, these are not air-cooled bikes. These are liquid-cooled bikes, and therefore, like all big bikes, they do generate a lot of heat. The reason we hear this on the Duke 390 is not because that there is a heating issue, but because most customers have not been accustomed to riding liquid-cooled bikes, and at the price that we are offering it, there are a lot of people who are getting an opportunity to move up to a liquid-cooled bike. So this is it's a small offshoot of that advantage, the issue of heating. Having said that, in the RC, taking cognizance of what the customer has had to say, there has been steps taken on the RC390 and on the 200, where there is a shroud around the radiator fan, which deflects the air to the bottom of the bike and doesn't allow it to come to the sides. So therefore, it's a suitable option. And I would, in fact, since this is being webcast to all the KTM prospective customers sitting there, RC, I would only say that the flip side of the advantage of the air not coming onto your legs is that there is a little bit of sound which comes, which is the humming sound of the of the air which is getting deflected. So it is it is a positive noise and nothing to be worried about. Okay. Now, before, maybe we have time for another, at best, 2 or 3 questions, but before we get on to that, I'd like to draw your attention to the bikes on the slide, which are the customization options on the RC. There are, and this is more for people who are watching it on the webcast, there are 2 bikes kept at the back of the room. Maybe the camera can focus on that as well. And so these 2 customization options are going to be available. One is a styling option and a racing option. So with that, we'll move to the last 2 questions. Yeah.
Firstly, thank you so much for introducing these models. But it also concerns me because, as he rightly said, that this is all the superbike you need in India. But does that mean that is KTM considering getting higher capacity motorcycles, let's say like the 690 or the Super Duke here in India?
The bigger motorcycle, for sure, it's a kind of showcase. But I think if you're talking about the Super Duke 1290, I know it's the benchmark in the naked bikes around the globe. For the short term, it's not planned to bring it to India. So as I mentioned, the first time it's the adventure and the motocross. So it's, I would say, 185 horses, 185 kilos. It's more or less a weapon which, based on the road conditions, I would say I wouldn't recommend. But maybe in the long future, Super Duke is also there in India.
Sorry, I'm just going to extend it. What about the 690? Half as much.
The 690, I would say, is not in the plan because, and it's not a secret. Meanwhile, we are working on a 2-cylinder, which will come and sooner or later replace that mid-class.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi. Ketan here from Economic Times. Mr. Nandi, if you can help me understand the mid-size premium motorcycling space, what's the potential that you see of growth in that segment? We've seen the introduction of Ninjas from Bajaj stable in the past, and we've seen the segment evolve with the introduction of models from your end. With these 2 motorcycles, how do you see the mid-size premium motorcycle evolving in the country? At what rate do you expect it to grow? What size of the market do you see the segment occupying? And what is your take on the biking culture? I mean, these owners' rallies, they're becoming big. They are pretty big overseas as well. What is Bajaj doing on that front?
So as far as the first part of the question is concerned, so like I shared, the industry is growing at 10%. KTM is growing at 120%. And if KTM is growing at 120%, it is not totally in isolation. If you really, take different cuts of the industry, the higher you move, the growth rates are faster. Just to give you an example, against 10% industry growth, if you look at the Bajaj Auto range of high-end bikes, which is the Pulsar 200, NS 220, Avenger, there we have a CAGR of almost about 20%, 17-18%. Okay. In contrast, the industry CAGR is not even 10%; it's 5%. If you look at bikes which are priced maybe 80,000 rupees and above, the whole segment, the CAGR is even higher. It's about 24-25%. If you look at, let's say, the 1 lakh rupee and above, which is really the the proper mid-size segment in your definition, there. This year, growth as a segment against our 120%, it's a 36% growth there. So obviously, these are very, very high numbers, and the growth is being driven by the increasing desire and ability of people to upgrade from from, let's say, from commuters to sporty bikes, from sporty bikes to true blue sports, and from there to, really hard performance bikes. So that's the first part of your question. As far as the second part is concerned, now the biking culture, the way you put it, is really catching on like wildfire. I mean, on any weekend, in any city, forget a city, even a really, really small town in an Uttar Pradesh or a Madhya Pradesh, on a Saturday or a Sunday morning, you will find groups of, maybe 5 to 15 riders heading out, and it is pure leisure riding. They are not going for work, they're not going to do anything, it's just for the sake of the ride. And yeah, so therefore, it is catching up in a big way.
What is KTM doing on that front? Do you have any specific programs that you have lined up like the others?
Yeah, sure. So like I shared earlier in the presentation, so we organize tours, we organize rides. I mean, till now, we've organized almost about 20, tours, which are overnight tours across the country. We're close to 100 rides, which have been organized by us, and it's happening all the time. There are about 80 odd biker meets, which we've participated in. So yes, we are in it big time, and I mean, our customers know that, and we're focusing on our customers at the moment.
And if you allow me just one last question, Mr. Bajaj, we know how profitable your three-wheelers are and how profitable your premium bikes are. Is there an understanding that we can get the value KTM brings to Bajaj's books? Any indications and any goals or any indication that you could give us?
Since Stefan is here, I will say not enough. But see, more seriously, I think I was listening to what you were asking, Amit, and I was listening to what he was saying to you. See, beyond all the number games and capacities and investments and profits and everything, this is about creating a very, very sharp position, a sharp brand, and the rest follows from it. I will share with you some of my favorite quotes from our industry. Henry Ford is supposed to have said, if I had asked customers what they wanted, or what more they wanted, they would have said they wanted a faster horse. And Steve Jobs said it less politely. He said, I don't do customer research because customers don't know what they want. And I think the nicest was from BMW. And they said, it is less important for me, as in BMW, to know the customer. It is more important for the customer to know me. So what you see here is as pure, as sharp, as deep as possible, an example of a motorcycle that we will ever see. Most motorcycles you look at and it's a little bit of this and a little bit of that and trying to be everything for everyone. It's not the case with the KTM. I mean, there's a lot of people who will love it and there's probably a lot of people who will hate it. And I think that is what makes a brand sharp and strong. So KTM's way is very clear. I don't think, I mean, I'm speaking on Stefan's behalf, but I don't think they worry too much about how the graph is changing and what the GDP is going to be and, all that kind of pseudo-quasi-economical stuff. We are only focused on making the best motorcycle possible. And everything else we assume will happen nicely once we make the best motorcycle possible. We keep it as simple as that. So I think if you look back on the last 5 years, across the world, you will see that KTM's success in the last 5 years is absolutely unparalleled. Some glimpses of that Stefan gave you in his presentation. But the way this company has moved on all fronts, technology, product, racing, marketing, sales, bottom line, top line, is just remarkable. And I think for all those successes, there is only one reason. A very, very clear and sharp vision of a brand that comes from Stefan. So KTM's success is his success. He was very clear what he wanted, and the rest of us have gone along with that. That's what KTM is about.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, Rajiv.
This is the last question.
Yeah, This is Mustansir from I Am a Banker. You mentioned the forged levers, etc. For, according to customer feedback, you put a few improvements. What about the alloys that you have on the RC as compared to the Duke? Because there were some complaints regarding broken alloys as well. So is there any upgrades, any changes to the design or the material that has gone through, or is it the same?
I don't know which complaints you're talking about, but yes, there have been some alloy wheels which have broken, and any bike pushed to its limit will result in such issues. Having said that, we are aware of what the road conditions here and to what extent our customers push the bikes, and we are continuously working towards improving every aspect, and all of it is fed into the RC as well.
And just coming back to the RC for a second, when do the bookings open and when are the first lot of bikes expected to be delivered?
Okay, so that's the last part of this Q&A before we'll have another photo session. So the bookings open tomorrow in all our showrooms, all 150 of them, 140 of them, and a booking amount which will be specified by the dealer, but it's about 30,000 rupees.
20,000?
30,000.
30,000.
Yeah.
It is 20,000 for the Maruti Ciaz or Kias or whatever they call it.
It's no comparison.
Sorry? Our share? No, I have always said ever since 2007, I have made it very clear that we are not in this game for ownership. Now that is not to be interpreted as meaning that if we wanted to own something, there are better things to own. That is not what I am trying to say. What I am trying to say is we are here to make a better motorcycle. And we acknowledge from day one that there is nobody who is better placed to understand what a KTM should be than Stefan and his team. Fortunately, there was a role that we could play, and we are seeking to play that role. It just so happened that in 2008 or 9, when the entire world, especially a part of the world, was in a financial turmoil, Bajaj could come to the assistance of KTM temporarily, and that gave us an opportunity to also partner in terms of the equity or the shareholding. But we didn't get into it for that at all. And in fact, as you know, in a sense, our relationship with Kawasaki is much older. And even until today, we don't have any shares in Kawasaki or vice versa. So I believe very clearly that partnerships like this are built on mutual purpose. They are not built on equity. And we know too well all the examples of equity partnerships that have eventually gone nowhere. So for us, the real equity is the motorcycle. We are not interested in bookkeeping. We are marketeers and engineers. We are interested in the bike.
With that, we come to the close of the Q&A session, and I would request Mr. Pierer and Mr. Bajaj to be with the bike once again.
Thank you, Mr. Bajaj. Thank you, Mr. Pierer. Dear all, lunch is ready. You may proceed to the pre-function area for lunch.